Hello, everyone. I'm Bob Keyser. This is the Son of Man Urantia project, spreading knowledge of the fatherhood of God, the siblinghood of humanity, and the golden rule, our commandment to treat others as God would have us do. No politics, no religion. Today, we go into chapter 8, Jesus' later adult life, from the Son of Man Urantia. The Life and Teachings of Jesus from the Urantia book. Grab your copy on Amazon, hit that like and subscribe button, and then sit back and marvel at the wildest story to ever unfold in the cosmos. Chapter 8, Jesus' later adult life. Jesus devoted 4 years readying his family for his departure. Love is infinite. It forms the essence of our existence and the primary source of divine energy. The more we love, the greater our capacity to receive love. Given the profound love Jesus had conferred upon his family, his departure was challenging for everyone. The 27th year, AD 21. In January, Jesus traveled to Tiberias and other cities on the Sea of Galilee. Thereafter, he ceased to be a regular member of the household. Journeying through Magdala and Bethsaida, Jesus reached Capernaum to visit Zebedee, his father's former friend and a boat builder. Zebedee's sons were fishermen, and he had long sought to craft a superior fishing boat. He asked Jesus to stay in Capernaum and help him with the project, to which Jesus agreed. Jesus and Zebedee devised a method for steaming boards that made boats sturdier and more resilient. Jesus resided in Zebedee's Bethsaida home for nearly 1 year, perfecting the technique. Their design proved so effective that in 5 years, all boats on the Sea of Galilee had been crafted in Zebedee's shop. Jesus relished collaborating with Joseph's longtime friend. He frequently fished with Zebedee's sons, John, James, and David, while Zebedee's wife, Salome, and her 4 daughters greatly admired him. During this period, he continued sending funds to James, returning to Nazareth only in October for Martha's wedding. After that, he was absent for 2 years, until Jude and Simon's double wedding. When obligated to pay the Roman tribute, he designated Capernaum his residence. There, the captain of the Roman outpost was a Gentile who followed the Jewish faith, and he had financed the construction of a synagogue shortly before Jesus' arrival. As Jesus conducted synagogue services, certain caravan travelers recalled him from Nazareth. Besides weekly gatherings with elders and young men on separate evenings, he spent most of his nights studying in the synagogue library. He was admired by the younger generation for his genuine concern for their lives and his restraint in guiding their conduct. Between dinner and library study, Jesus led discussions with Zebedee's family and neighbors. He taught about science, politics, and philosophy, tailoring the subject to those present. Jesus declared something absolute only when he spoke of people's relationship with God. Weekly, he hosted a similar gathering for Zebedee's workers and local laborers. This group of admirers first named him the Master. Jude traveled from Magdala to attend these gatherings, his respect for Jesus growing over time. Jesus continued honing his mind and deepening communion with his thought adjuster. Thereafter, he journeyed. He had not yet fully understood humanity enough to proclaim his gospel. Jesus needed to travel abroad, interact with diverse people, and study varied cultural practices. The 28th year, AD 22. In March, Jesus took a portion of his earnings and departed for Jerusalem. Before departing, he and Zebedee's family planned to reunite in Jerusalem for Passover. He entrusted John Zebedee with forwarding his remaining funds to his family in Nazareth. Jesus and John had forged a close bond, and John vowed to care for Mary and the others in his absence. John and Zebedee invested his remaining funds in a modest 2-room house, sending the income to his family. In Jerusalem, Jesus devoted his time to observing the temple debates and going to Bethany each Sabbath to visit friends. Salome, Zebedee's wife, provided Jesus with a letter of introduction to Annas, a relative who years before had been the high priest of Jerusalem. Together, they visited various schools and religious scholars in Jerusalem. Jesus puzzled Annas, who grappled with how to assist him. Jesus clearly needed no formal education, yet he could not teach in those schools without prior attendance. When Zebedee's family arrived for Passover, they observed the supper at Annas's spacious residence. Later that week, Jesus met a man and his 17-year-old son from India, who were then journeying to Rome and other Mediterranean cities. Their travels would span a couple of years, and they sought an interpreter for the father and a tutor for the son. After arranging for his first year's earnings to be sent to his brother James in Nazareth, Jesus agreed to accompany them on their journey to Rome. Before departing, Jesus disclosed his intentions to Zebedee, stating that he would not return for 2 years. Jesus asked Zebedee to promise not to tell the others, including his family, his whereabouts. Without John and Zebedee's occasional visits and assurances of his well-being, his family might have presumed him dead before his return. And, as Jesus had requested, John always remembered to take Mary and Ruth a small gift. The 29th year, AD 23. During his 2-year pilgrimage, Jesus became known to those he met as the Jewish tutor and the Damascus scribe. He never disclosed his journey to Rome to his family or the apostles. They assumed he had gone to Alexandria, while only John and Zebedee knew the truth. Jesus did not need to impress people with grand accomplishments or overpower them with intellectual arguments. Michael lived his final incarnation among us, but not solely for us. His bestowal on earth was for the benefit of the universe then existent and for all worlds to be inhabited throughout eternity. Upon returning to Nazareth 2 years later, Jesus was confident as his status as a Creator's Son. He recalled his divine past, and his thought adjuster unveiled memories of the Paradise Father from before he created our universe. Jesus' final pre-human memory returned to him when baptized by John in the Jordan River, recalling his last conversation with his elder brother, Emmanuel, before his birth on earth. The human Jesus. To the celestial host observing Jesus' bestowal on earth, his Mediterranean journey was the most captivating part. At that time, Jesus was not yet fully aware of his divine nature. He was still the Son of Man, aiding individuals personally rather than preaching publicly, as he would later in his ministry. By age 29, Jesus had nearly completed the human aspect of his spiritual development, living an ordinary mortal life. As a child, When Jesus received his thought adjuster, it began conditioning him for the eternity, infinity, and universality of God the Father. As he grew aware of this process, Jesus embraced the guidance offered, and when he perfected his mind, it melded in complete harmony with God. This pivotal event, the mortal personality uniting with God to form a new eternal soul, occurred during Jesus' baptism by John in the Jordan River. Jesus lived as an ordinary man, experiencing the full spectrum of human life on a material world. Like us, he experienced the extremes of joy, sorrow, and grief. He cried, he laughed, he cared for us, and at times he became angry and vented his indignation. Jesus experienced the urges and confusion common to human life. Furthermore, for a period of his time on earth, Jesus lived in full communication with his thought adjuster, similar to how life is lived on advanced evolutionary worlds settled in spiritual maturity and enlightenment, a level few humans ever reach on earth. Jesus was a fully realized human personality and thus knows humans across all levels of mortal existence present in the universe. Jesus revealed the eternal God to mortals and presented himself as a perfected human personality to the infinite Creator. Though we are to learn from Jesus' life, he did not intend us to copy his life. Jesus lived as a man of his time, and we are to do the same. Our lesson lies in learning to live our lives according to our thought adjuster's guidance, and then, regardless of the time or place, opening ourselves to God's grace and following Jesus' example of the living way for mortals to become eternal. Okay, folks, that was chapter 8, Jesus' later adult life. Up next is chapter 9, On the Way to Rome. From the Son of Man, Urantia, the life and teachings of Jesus from the Urantia book. Grab your copy on Amazon, hit that like and subscribe button, and then let's all get out there and find a way to serve humanity for nothing more or less than the sake of God. Bobby Keyser, out here.